as I look at what the young fellas did, they strike me as a bunch of teenagers who had got their mate who was a teenager, who was sick, and these four young teenagers ripped the house apart in order to get their teenage oppo in front of Jesus. So it just seems to me like a thing that young people would do. They are passionate. They are full of drive. They are full of, we're going to do this, come hell or high water. I think that this would have been a young person, and I'm saying teenager. I also find it interesting that Jesus doesn't address his ailment. He says, your sins are forgiven.
And what you described is similar to what you get in a lot of war movies, isn't it? When somebody falls and his mates come and pick him up. Is there a link at all between sickness and sin here?
I'm always concerned about this because there are some people that say you are only sick because there is sin in your life. I've got a huge problem with that. The world is fallen in terms of its standing with God. It is no longer the perfect world that it used to be. And because it's fallen, anything that happens in the world, which means that you can get sick and you can get ill and you can die. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you are somebody who's got active sin in your life. That doesn't mean to say that you're living a life which is sinful. It just means that you're a human being and you're living life. I don't believe that there are promises of God that say you're going to have an easy life when you become a Christian and you're never going to get ill anymore. I do believe that Jesus will be with you through every and any circumstance. And I'm always mindful of the three guys that were thrown into the fire, Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego. They were not rescued from the fire, but the God-man walked with them in the midst of it. They weren't taken out of it. They were protected in the midst of it. And I don't think that life is going to give you a smooth and easy path just because you're Christian. In fact, often quite the opposite is the case. And I don't know that it is God's will for our life to just necessarily always be fit and healthy. I don't know that that's the case. I believe that God's will for our life is to conform us to the likeness of his Son. And to do that, he may refine us, may allow all sorts of things to happen to us in that refining process. You've only got to look at the account of Job, who had everything stripped away from him, who was sat there for been scraping the sores off his body with been bits of pot, and I don't mean the stuff that you smoke. Sickness is something that is as a result of sin in terms of the natural world, but I don't think that every sickness is because you are doing something you shouldn't be doing. I just think that that's life. That happens. We live in the natural world. Jesus has promised that he'll walk with us through all of it, irrespective of what it is.
Excellent.